A botanical garden. A botanic garden is a garden dedicated to the collection, cultivation and display of a wide range of plants labeled with the botanical names. It may contain specialist plant collections such as cacti and other succulent plants, herb gardens, plants from particular parts of the world, and so on. They may be greenhouses, shadehouses, again with special collections such as tropical plants, alpine plants, or other exotic plants. Visitor services at a botanical garden might include tours, educational displays, art exhibitions, book rooms, open-air theatrical and musical performances, and other entertainment. Botanical gardens are often run by universities or other scientific research organizations, and often have associated herbaria and research programs in plant taxonomy or some other aspect of botanical science. In principle, the role is to maintain documented collections of living plants for the purposes of scientific research, conservation, display, and education, although this will depend on the resources available and the special interests pursued at each particular garden. The origin of modern botanical gardens can be traced to European medieval medicinal gardens known as physic gardens, the first of these being founded during the Italian Renaissance in the 16th century. This early concern with medicinal plants changed in the 17th century to an interest in the new plant imports from explorations outside Europe as botany gradually established its independence from medicine. In the 18th century, systems of nomenclature and classification were devised by botanists working in the herbaria and universities associated with the gardens. These systems often being displayed in the gardens as educational or order beds. With the rapid rise of European imperialism in the late 18th century, botanic gardens were established in the tropics, and economic botany became a focus with the hub at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, near London. Over the years, botanical gardens as cultural and scientific organizations have responded to the interests of botany and horticulture. Nowadays, most botanical gardens display a mix of the themes mentioned and more, having a strong connection with the general public. There is the opportunity to provide visitors with information relating to the environmental issues being faced at the start of the 21st century, especially those relating to plant conservation and sustainability. Definitions. The role of major botanical gardens worldwide has been considered so broadly similar as to fall within textbook definitions. The following definition was produced by staff of the Liberty Hyde Bailey Hortorium of Cornell University in 1976. It covers in some detail the many functions and activities generally associated with botanical gardens. A botanical garden is a controlled and staffed institution for the maintenance of a living collection of plants under scientific management for purposes of education and research, together with such libraries, herbaria, laboratories, and museums as are essential to its particular undertakings. Each botanical garden naturally develops its own special fields of interests depending on its personnel, location, extent, available funds, and the terms of its charter. It may include greenhouses, test grounds, an herbarium, an arboretum, and other departments. It maintains a scientific as well as a plant-growing staff, and publication is one of its major modes of expression. This broad outline is then expanded. The botanic garden may be an independent institution, a governmental operation, or affiliated to a college or university. If a department of an educational institution, it may be related to a teaching program. In any case, it exists for scientific ends and is not to be restricted or diverted by other demands. It is not merely a landscaped or ornamental garden, although it may be artistic. nor is it an experiment station or yet a park with labels on the plants. The essential element is the intention of the enterprise, which is the acquisition and dissemination of botanical knowledge. A contemporary botanic garden is a strictly protected natural urban green area, where a managing organization creates landscaped gardens and holds documented collections of living plants and/or preserved plant accessions, containing functional units of heredity of actual or potential value for purposes such as scientific research, education, public display, conservation, sustainable use, tourism and recreational activities, production of marketable plant-based products and services for improvement of human well-being. The New Royal Horticultural Society Dictionary of Gardening points out that among the various kinds of organizations now known as botanical gardens are many public gardens with little scientific activity, and it cites a more abbreviated definition that was published by the World Wildlife Fund and IUCN when launching the Botanic Gardens Conservation Strategy in 1989. A botanic garden is a garden containing scientifically ordered and maintained collections of plants, usually documented and labeled, and open to the public for the purposes of recreation, education and research. Quote, "This has been further reduced by Botanic Gardens Conservation International to the following definition, which encompasses the spirit of a true botanic garden. A botanic garden is an institution holding documented collections of living plants for the purposes of scientific research, conservation, display and education." The Botanical Gardens Network worldwide. There are now about 1,800 botanical gardens and arboreta in about 150 countries, of which about 550 are in Europe, 200 in North America, and an increasing number in East Asia. These gardens attract about 150 million visitors a year, so it is hardly surprising that many people gained the first exciting introduction to the wonders of the plant world in a botanical garden. Historically, botanical gardens exchanged plants through the publication of seed lists. This was a means of transferring both plants and information between botanical gardens. This system continues today, although the possibility of genetic piracy and the transmission of invasive species has received greater attention in recent times. The International Association of Botanic Gardens was formed in 1954 as a worldwide organization affiliated to the International Union of Biological Sciences. More recently, coordination has also been provided by Botanic Gardens Conservation International, which has the mission to mobilize botanic gardens and engage partners in securing plant diversity for the well-being of people and the planet. BGCI has over 700 members, mostly botanic gardens, in 118 countries, and strongly supports the global strategy for plant conservation by producing a range of resources and publications, and by organizing international conferences and conservation programs. Communication also happens regionally. In the United States, there is the American Public Gardens Association, and in Australasia there is the Botanic Gardens of Australia and New Zealand.